That's right. Welcome and welcome back to a Give Me Some More edition of the Always Irish Show. As always, you can find this program on YouTube. Do hit subscribe if you haven't yet. I'd appreciate that very much. Give the video a thumbs up upon its completion if you approve of the content. I'd appreciate that as well. Twitter, search bar Always Irish or at JKZND4. Emails, alwaysirishnd@gmail.com. Audio only anywhere you want this show. You can find this show. Call-in line, 312-900-8815. I want to talk about this staff. If only we had one that was complete. Now, this episode's going to make those who think I've been way too lenient on Marcus Freeman so far very happy. I'm going to ask him to deliver on something and to use the biggest number one reason he's the head coach at Notre Dame to do so. That's a key part of this. But first, there's two breaking news stories that I got to address that weren't on my outline but popped up last night. I think we are all, at this point, worn out and exhausted with this coaching staff build-out situation. It went from, great, we're keeping the most important guys and everybody else is gone, to pretty much a total staff rebuild now. So this has dragged on longer than any of us want. Still waiting on the defense coordinator, probably going to happen right after the Super Bowl. It's over a whole nother week, probably a week and a half, right? So I just think the collective Notre Dame, I'm over this. I'm over it. Let's get this staff stuff done. Okay, so I had Nathan Erbach and Mason Plummer on last week. We were talking about it's great that the NFL teams and other college teams want our guys. That is great news. And I said, yes, of course it is. Of course you want your guys to be valued by everybody else. That means they're doing a good job. My only retort to that is it'd be really nice if we put something in the trophy case. Then guys went on and moved on. I'm a lot more open to losing our good coaches if there's results in the trophy case when they leave. It's just a personal frustration. So now, last night, the Giants want McCullough, our new running back coach. So is it also a good thing if we have a coach who never coaches here and leaves somewhere else? I'm at my patience level with this stuff. Oh, Cristobal in Miami want to go after Tommy Rees. What a joke. That one makes me laugh. The NFL teams that are looking at Rees are the ones I take more serious. He ain't going to leave and go to Miami. That ain't going to happen. It's the NFL teams that are after Rees that I have my eye on, not Miami. Now, here's why I think both these guys are going to stay. With McCullough, he has young sons he might want to go to and play at Notre Dame in the near future. I would think that has a lot to do with his decision-making in this regard. Even if it's more money to go to the Giants or whatever, if he values a Notre Dame education and wants his kids to come through there, he's going to stay. And I think that's what's going to happen. When it comes to Rees, look at how we roasted and ridiculed Brian Kelly. If Rees gives that big recorded speech to the team, my heart's at Notre Dame and all that, goes through all this long of the process of building out the staff, then leaves at the last second, that's hilarious. That is hilarious. We roasted Brian Kelly. What would happen now? At least Kelly just left. If Rees does this big speech and leaves, it's unbelievable. So for those reasons, I think both those guys are going to stay. But I'm ready to wrap a bow on this and know this is what we got so we could get moving forward. So finish this up. Get it official. I want to move on from this phase so we could get into the next phase. I'm just losing my patience with all this. Every time I open Twitter, another Notre Dame guy's everybody wants him. He's going somewhere. Stabilize this shit. I'm sick of it. Here's number two. before I get into more, okay? Number 2 is, I've had a few people ask me about this, so I did my research. I don't know if people are going to like my answer or not. Oh, Pat Narduzzi at Pitt is crying on the local radio saying last year Notre Dame was trying to interest Pickett in leaving Pitt and going to Notre Dame for his last year, and that's bad for the sport. So Narduzzi was on a radio crying and moaning about how bad this is for the game. Listen up, Patty. Money, cars, jobs, jewelry, homes, mortgage payments, rent payments, whores and hookers are all things that all these other teams are using to pull guys away from somewhere else into them. All those things are known and in play. Pat Narduzzi's crying because some back channels were made to his quarterback to see if he was interested in playing with the better roster his final year. Ooh, cry about it, Pat. Get modern. He's either 100% naive and is like, doesn't think this is standard operating practice with every major competing program, which it is, standard operating procedure. You have somebody back channel reach out, put out some feelers, okay? That's just how this business goes. So he's either 1, totally naive to that, or 2, he's just soft. He's just soft, and he's bitter, and he knows he's never going to win anything at Pitt and whatever, so he's lashing out. Either way, I mean, it's a joke. This is a total joke. Hookers, money, cars, jobs in the athletic department. All this stuff is going on to draw guys from one place to another. And he's mad these back channel contacts were made. Grow up, Pat. Grow up. This is the real world you live in. Adapt or go do something else, because this is standard operating procedure. Okay? Now, let's get into the topic of the day. Now that I got all worked up, let's get into the topic of the day. This topic speaks directly to this new regime change and hopes and promises of what is going to come with it. Some of you loyal, longtime listeners may recall a few years ago, before I had this studio, right when I started doing video, but hadn't moved into the new house, built this room, okay? I did a show about Will Shipley, the running back that's now at Clemson. The point of that show was about how he was the perfect Notre Dame fit, family, decorum as a young man, skill, 5-star running back, the academics lined up. I went on and on about how Notre Dame already has to cast a smaller recruiting net than most schools due to the academics. And if they have any chance of competing nationally, Notre Dame cannot miss on the elite players that also check all of the off-the-field boxes. Okay? That concept's pretty straightforward. I made a big deal about what this would mean, why you need to get it, how Notre Dame can't lose out on the 5-star kids that are also really good academically. Sure enough, he went to Clemson. Brian Kelly lost too many of the elite guys that also fit Notre Dame. There's a small pool of those guys that are elite and can get into Notre Dame. Kelly lost too many of those battles. You can't get ahead at Notre Dame doing that. You have no chance. You're already not going to get the hat flippers and the guys getting $500,000 a year to play at Texas A&M. Those are off the table. We're not interested, but you're not getting them for whatever reason. We're not interested. They're not interested. They can't read. Whatever the reason, we're not getting them. They're not coming here. But the ones that are great on the field and great academically, well-spoken young man, come from good families that value this kind of education. Notre Dame needs to land those guys. And we have not been doing a good enough job. Marcus was named head coach, more so, in my opinion, for his overall personality and recruiting chops, more than for strict X's and O's reasons. And I mean that as a compliment. You know, different coaches, if you look at them and you say, what is their number one attribute they bring to my program, my team, my school, my NFL team, whatever. If you think about it from Marcus and you ask me, John, what is his number one attribute? I'm not going to say, oh, this scheme he dialed up on defense. No, I'm looking bigger than that, much bigger than that. Marcus's biggest attribute is his personality. That's why he got this job. He didn't get this job because of the way he runs defenses. He got this job because of his unique personality, demeanor, and the way he can connect and communicate with everybody. That's why he got this job. That's not the only reason. That's the number one reason, in my opinion. That's it. Now comes a big opportunity in 2023 regarding the quarterback position. And I need Marcus to leverage that personality. Dante Moore's a 5-star quarterback from Detroit. Currently, 247 has him as the number 3 quarterback overall, 8th best player in the entire country. A Michigan lean, he's from Detroit, so that makes perfect sense. Has been largely thought to be a Michigan lean with Notre Dame interest as well. Harbaugh's coming back. He is a total weirdo. Listen, here's the thing. I take some crap sometimes about how hard I am on Michigan and all that. And I can't believe I'm saying this. I've actually met a couple Michigan people on Twitter I can actually engage with and enjoy it now. There was a lady I connected with, has a Michigan Notre Dame connection, and her husband died like Notre Dame. I started chatting to her, lovely lady. And there's a couple Michigan guys that I can actually talk to. So maybe I'm maturing, and that's progress. But what have I long said about Harbaugh? He's a space cadet. He is disconnected from the practical realities everybody else sees that are obvious. I mean this genuinely as somebody who is a licensed mental health practitioner in the state of Illinois. Okay, so before you say I'm being mean and all that, this is coming as a place from a licensed mental health clinician in the state of Illinois. I think Harbaugh might be slightly on a spectrum of something because things don't connect for him the right way. There's a little something off, and that is my professional, psychological, licensed, trained, do this for a job opinion. Okay? There's something loose. Something ain't firing right. Okay? So he's a space cadet, I've always said, totally disconnected from reality. So when I hear that he went to Minnesota assuming the job was his, a slam dunk no matter what, then he got there and realized the Vikings didn't see it that way. They were just interviewing him like everybody else. What a shock to me that Jim Harbaugh wasn't on the same page with somebody else. Like, that's the most Jim Harbaugh move ever. To misread a situation, not gauge it right, not feel the room. That is peak Jim Harbaugh. So it makes total sense to me he wasn't on the same page with them. Because he's not on the same page with anybody except aliens. Okay? So him leaving Michigan obviously would have made it much easier for Notre Dame to move in here and steal Dante Moore. Okay, if Harbaugh was gone, no doubt that's easier, but there's still a chance, and there's a huge angle to play here with this kid. This is where I need Marcus to showcase that number one reason he got this job. Use your personality to win this recruiting battle and change everything and accelerate Notre Dame's Marcus Freeman-led timeline. This is his biggest asset. This isn't Kelly going after this kid. I wouldn't expect him to have a chance to get him because it's Kelly. This ain't that. This is different. Marcus got hired for this personality. I need to see those results now. I need to see them now. The time is now. You got this job because of that. Let's see you land the guys Kelly couldn't early and show that this is going to be a different era indeed. In damn deed. Okay? So here's the deal. You continue, I know Reese and Freeman are tag teaming this. You continue to tell more all the great things about Notre Dame, what it could do for you, the 40-year thing that you're going to have great tight ends, you're going to have great, offensive line play, this great degree, go to the NFL, all that. Tell more. All the great things about Notre Dame. And oh, by the way, kindly remind this young man that you know for a fact now that Harbaugh wants out of Michigan. He has shown it by interviewing on National Signing Day, was ready to take that job except for the fact that Minnesota didn't want him. Do you really want to sign up to play for that guy? Do you? This is the easiest negative recruiting pitch in the world for everybody else to go against Michigan with. There is no disputing. You know for a fact Harbaugh tried to leave. I don't care what he tells Ward Manuel. I don't care if they announce a 10-year extension tomorrow. It doesn't matter. If a guy wants to leave, he's going to leave. The NFL team will buy out that deal for Michigan. Even if they announce an extension, it means nothing. These guys' word means nothing. We've all seen that. Everybody's all about family and what we got going on here till a better opportunity shows up. We've learned that. So Notre Dame needs to use this angle against Michigan. Do you really want to play for a guy you know is already looking for the next opportunity? And that instability compared to Freeman, who looks like he's here for a long time. Do you want to sign up for that? I know, because I've been following it. I know how that Ann Arbor media is, the cult that is the whole Michigan thing and the way the media carries the water for them and for Harbaugh. They are framing this. It's astounding to me. The lack of self-awareness from what happens in Ann Arbor compared to how everybody else looks at it. It is scary. It is a weird cult. They are acting like getting Harbaugh back was a 5-star recruit coming. There's no damage. We just keep it moving. I understand why they're framing it that way, because they have to feel better about their own situation. But nationally, outside Ann Arbor, that's not how it's going to work. There are consequences to doing what Harbaugh did. Even though he's back and all that, there are consequences. There are cracks in that Michigan foundation. There are trust issues in that locker room between Harbaugh and the recruits, his coaches, and players. There's instability there, okay? Now is the time to pounce on that vulnerability, okay? The Michigan people are framing it that he's back and everything's fine. You don't get to do what he did and not have consequences. And the recruiting ramifications and the negative recruiting that's going to come for this, I hope, are going to be some of the biggest consequences heading his way. So there are problems there. There are trust issues there. There's cracks there that Notre Dame can take advantage of. All right? Now, on the practical side for Michigan, how much this Harbaugh thing matters, here's how I look at it, really. If you look at Michigan's schedule year in, year out, especially next year, they got a brutal September. Central Michigan, UConn, Hawaii. I mean, they believe in really being tested early and scheduling the toughest big boy teams. Here's the reality. Michigan regardless of who the coach is, Michigan can recruit itself as an institution historically well enough to win 10 games every year with their schedule. So it's just kind of like Harbaugh's back, whatever. It's more the same. Like, their rosters should beat at least 10 of the non-existent nobody teams they play. And then you got Michigan State and Ohio State, and then those games determine Michigan's year because everybody else is usually nothing. Oh, Wisconsin, yeah, but no. Oh, Penn State, yeah, but no. Iowa, yeah, but no. Like, give me a break. So they're built in. They bake in 10 wins in the Big Ten just because they can recruit off their name better than everybody except for Ohio State in that conference. So it's all kind of a joke with them. But back to the point. These are the exact battles Kelly lost, is going after this type of kid. I need this coach to be different, and now, not in a couple years, like now. I don't know how many elite big-time recruits that we've been trying to go for, and I just write it off because I don't trust Kelly to get it over the hump. I just don't. So I need that to change. Marcus, your number one attribute, that the thing you're best at, prove it. Prove it. Prove it. Get this kid and change everything right away. Right away. Okay. Vazina likes Clemson. Arnold committed to Oklahoma. Moore's Notre Dame's last chance at an elite guy before you drop down quite a bit, in my opinion, to Avery Johnson. All right. Landing Moore would help with Carnell Tate and others as well. This all snowballs. It all snowballs. I'm telling you, Marcus and Reese need to pull this off. To me, this is Marcus's one of his first public big tests. Building out the staff was another test, but that is a largely private one done behind the scenes. To me, this is his first big public test. No, it wasn't the Fiesta Bowl. Not fair to put that on him. I'm not doing that. So don't go there. Okay, too many idiosyncrasies and oddities that were not his fault in play on that. This is one of his first big tests to me. He's got to deliver on his number one attribute. That's the bottom line. Can he leverage his personality, Notre Dame, and Michigan's current instability and cracks in the foundation to land this elite guy? It's what he's here to do. Biggest asset. This is exactly why he's here. This is exactly what we all pointed to as what is going to be the biggest difference between Freeman and Kelly. I gotta see it. I gotta see it. Okay? I'm sick. I am sick of Notre Dame finishing second in so many recruiting battles for good players. In recruiting, finishing second is the same as finishing 100th. Needs to end now. Change the narrative. Land an elite QB that would time out to flourish right in Marcus's sweet spot in a couple years. It all lines up perfect. Pulling this off is exactly why Marcus is the coach now. Let's see the results so that I can # the Freeman factor it. Okay? That's what I need to see, Marcus. Get it done, buddy.